Tesla opened up a diner in Hollywood in the Los Angeles area. And my question is, why hasn't it burned down yet? I don't know, might be a weird question to ask, but and this is not necessarily an Elon story. What it really is where was all of the quote unquote protest money when Tesla was at the forefront coming from? Because in the reality of it, and again, this is whether you like Elon, whether you dislike Elon, doesn't really matter here. His opinions have not gotten any less conservative, especially fiscally. Remember, his break with President Trump was over the fact that we weren't cutting more things. So the question I have is, they have this big new facility that's open to the public and nobody has thought to damage it yet? Okay, well, why is that? Because they had a lot of dealerships, manufacturers getting protested while President Trump was working with Elon Musk. But now that he isn't, again, Elon's thoughts haven't changed, but the place is still standing. I guess the bottom line here is Elon Musk has himself accused plenty of different organizations of bankrolling the protests against him, which begs to me the main question here is, who is funneling that money to those, again, protesters to effectively smash and burn down facilities across the country? Here to comment on that and so much more is our fantastic panel for the day. Morgan McMichael is a TPUSA contributor, and Terry Schilling is the president of the American Principles Project. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Morgan, I want to start with you here. This is, again, it really isn't have anything to do with Tesla or Elon Musk. It's mostly these protesters. I keep wanting to air quote protesters, right? Because they're really just paid rioters, in my opinion. They're not doing anything to this facility, and good. I don't want them to, but that again, it begs the question: why were they so eager, especially when Elon Musk's views haven't really changed over the last couple months? When a couple months ago they were throwing Molotov cocktails into Tesla dealerships. What happened?
Listen, I have a couple of thoughts on this. First of all, ever since the Tesla protests were happening, I think the left finally figured out that the cars have surveillance systems on them, so they can easily who's vandalizing all the cars and the dealerships. So really, they only have picket lines to resort to, which I'm also pretty surprised that this diner, very futuristic and weird diner, doesn't have any California crazy liberal picketers outside. But I think it's because of the high technology of the establishment that's been created that is deterring the liberals from giving it any attention. And also the fact that Elon Musk hasn't been pictured next to President Trump in quite some time now, which is a couple of weeks. And I think that liberals have just forgotten that Elon was basically best friends with President Trump just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but that's, again, such a weird thing. So, Terry, Morgan brought up a great point in that this is in Los Angeles, like the bluest of blue, like blue city in a blue state. It doesn't get any more liberal than that. But nobody seems to be protesting this facility, which again is good. But a couple months ago, they were protesting in red cities, in red states, which makes me think, okay, well, somebody's clearly paying them. What do we have to do to get to the bottom of who it is, with the assumption that people are getting paid to protest? What do we have to do to get to the bottom of that?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure Pam Bondi can get to the bottom of this one. But listen, I want to point out that, obviously Democrats are on the wrong side of a host of 80-20 issues. So it could be that they might be waiting for this to get as unpopular as a 90-10 issue. That's what the Democrats are all about. I think that's ultimately why they backed off of the Tesla car bombings, is because it was backfiring on them. It's very unpopular to car bomb people, especially liberals who drive EVs. I drive a Tesla. I'm not a liberal, but it goes 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. So that's why I bought it. But the reality is that these guys are nuts, right? And it is absolutely funded by outside actors who are simply not anti-Elon, they're anti-Trump. And so I think that this lacks the critical Trump factor for Trump derangement syndrome to kick in.
Yeah, and again, they're really anti-Trump. They're not even anti the policies, because clearly Elon Musk hasn't changed any of his policies. He just disagrees with the president.